everyone. As we discussed in the last video that we are going to see the lab of user creation. So let's first have a recap that we discussed about three types of the users. When we discussed about cloud identities, so we had cloud user which is registered as a member, and then we had directory synchronized which are synchronized from the on premises, and the guest users which are instead of the member are mentioned as guest within the Azure portal. So let's first create a member account and then create a guest account. So for that, let's move on to the Azure portal. So this is my default directory. This is my tenant ID. This is my primary domain. In this, I will be going ahead onto searching Microsoft Entra. And within this, if I expand the options, we have in the manage section the users. In the users, you can see that I already have 8 users in my account and few are listed as member and few are listed as guest. So we will be creating a user from scratch now. So first of all, we will be creating a member user or an inbuilt user or the first name as Neha. So I will be assuming that Neha is one of the employees of my company who is joining on 30th of this month. And I am giving the user principal name, which is followed by the default domain name that we have. All of you know that whenever we create a account on Azure, we get a default domain name. If you don't want to use this domain name, from the you can select the other existing domain name within the account. So if you already purchased a domain name and got it registered with your domain name registrar, then you have to verify that, and after verification you can make that as the primary domain or you can use it while creation of the user principal name. So now here we have the first user as Neha, and we will be giving a display name as Neha Kumari, and this is the auto generated password. You can use the auto generated password if you want, but if you don't want to use the auto generated password, you can create your own password as well. So we'll copy the auto generated password and store it in a notepad. So this is the password of the user account that I am trying to create. And in the account enablement, we have checked this box. That means when the user is created, he or she can log in with that user ID and password. But if you have not enabled the account for the user will not be able to log in within the Azure portal even if they have the username and password. This is done in case that I am creating the user account on 20th of this month and the user is joining on 30th of this month. So I want to share the credentials but for him or her, but I don't want to enable the account login. So for that, I can disable the account login from here. In next, we have properties. So you can give few settings like giving the job, the department, the employee ID, giving additional information related to the user. So now it will add more information to the user, but later on, when you are going to create a dynamic user or dynamic membership assignment, in those cases, that's a group assignment basically. In those cases, these attributes help a lot. So when we have similar attributes of 10 people, we can keep that attribute as a condition to be fulfilled whenever we are creating a dynamic group. So the people, the users whose attribute matches to the group dynamic group condition, those users will be added to the dynamic group. So we will also explore this option later on. So for just for the dynamic group assignment later on to be covered, we will keep the name of the company as XYZ org. And you can give more information related to street address, city. So we will be giving the city as Noida or Chennai, whatever you want. And here we have certain other informations that we can add and give the age group, right? Whether it's a minor, adult, right? If you are adding a minor, you have to add the consent also. You can set up a usage location. which location it will be used. For example, I want to use this user ID in India location. So I want to make sure that the logins are from India location only. If we track that user to be logging in from some other locations, we can set up more administrative protection onto those user accounts with the help of more capabilities which are provided by Microsoft Entra, not Entra ID, but Microsoft Entra. Then we have assignments. In the assignment, we can add this user to a group or add a or give him a role like a user administrator or network administrator. We will be doing that in a bit. And then we will be creating this user. The user is created. You just need to refresh, and now I can see I have 9 users. One user is Neha Kumari, which has been just created now. As we know that now the user ID of Neha has been created, so Neha can log in. So I want to see how is the logging experience of Neha. So I will be giving the username of Neha. So I will copy the username from here. So this is the username of Neha. I will copy it and put it in my signing credentials. And I have to give the password, which I have stored it in my notepad. So I will just copy the password. Now, always remember, whenever the new user will sign in, he or she will be asked to reset the password. So I am providing the existing password and they have given me an option to update the password. So let me quickly update the password for Neha. So in the backend, all of these activities are being carried out by Neha only. And then you sign in. You can set up multi-factor authentication. So for that, I will be using Microsoft Authenticator. So you can install Microsoft Authenticator from Google Play or download it from the App Store. I already have it in my mobile application. So I will just go for a setup of this account. So it will give a QR code which needs to be scanned. So I'm opening my authenticator, and the moment I open my authenticator, there is a scan option. I can scan this. Once it is activated and the account is added, I will click on next, and it is asking for the number authentication. I will provide that, and the request is approved. That is, authenticator login is done. Now you can see I have logged in as Neha. So the email ID is neha at the rate followed by my user principal name, that is cloudgyankosh.outlook.onmicrosoft.com, since I am using a default domain name. Then we have in the next line the directory, that is the resemblance to the tenant that I have it, the domain and more information. So if I go to the Entra ID again and search here, I can see, I can expand the option here and see all the list of the users which are there in the account. So, for example, I want to create a new user. I will click on new user and see it is grayed out. But the question is, why is it grayed out? Because Neha is a user. And when I want to create a user, Neha being a user, she does not have any permission. So if Neha has to do something in the Azure portal, her privileges must be enhanced. So for that, for now, if you see in the user section, in the roles and administrator, Neha is just a user. Okay, your role is not stated, you are just a user. So no directory roles assigned. So let me, the owner, the owner elevate the permission of Neha's account. So I will go into assign role section and I will elevate the permission of Neha. So I will click on add an assignment and search for. So to create a user, you must have two roles. One is of a user administrator, or you must have elevated roles to create users like global administrator. So I am assigning a user administrator role to Neha and add this. Now you can see if I refresh this page, I can see Neha has a permission of a user administrator. This is known as Entra role. So before we go further, understand I created a user, okay, which is Neha. So this user tried to sign in into the account using username and password. So that was a process of authentication that was carried out. Now, when the authentication is completed, you also saw that we can set up multi-factor authentication for the user. Now, after the users has signed in, the user do not have any permission. No access is there with the user. Okay, so we have to elevate the permission of a user, then only he or she can do anything within the account. So for that, I am elevating the permission with two methods. One is I can give permissions or role with the help of Entra roles. So Entra roles are more related to the directory roles which can be assigned, mostly administrator role that can be assigned to a user, like I assigned for Neha a user administrator role. Whereas if I want, I can also provide Neha multiple levels of access, that is through RBAC permission, role based access control. RBAC is role based access control. So when I give the role based access control to Neha, the role based access control is basically given at multiple levels, including subscription, resource group, resources, and also you can manage, if you have multiple subscription, you can manage it from the management group level. So at these levels, I can provide the roles of permission with RBAC, and at the tenant level, I can provide it with the Entra roles. So this process is authorization. We have been discussing authorization and authentication as we started with this topic of Entra. So this two fulfillment is done here. So now I have elevated the permission of Neha. Let's go back to the Neha's login. And if I refresh this page, I can see that Neha can also view that she is a user administrator. Now the question is whether Neha can create the user or not. So if I go to the user section and click on new user, you just have to refresh it sometimes. So yes, now I can see it is not grayed out, and Neha can also create a user. For example, let's see that Neha has created a user Sneha. Okay, so Sneha is a user which is being created by Neha, and we'll just go with the create option here. Now it is already created. We'll refresh this page and I can see 10 users. So Neha has created a user which can be viewed into the login, parent login of the global administrator also. So here you can see now I have 10 users including Neha, the one that is created by Cloud Gyan Kosh, and Sneha, that is also a member. So this is known as creating inbuilt user or a member user or cloud identity. The second is to create a guest user. To create a guest user, you need to invite external users within the account. So for example, I want to invite a user within the account, maybe Alok. So I am giving the email ID at maybe he has an email ID Alok Kumar 22 at the rate gmail.com. Okay, I'm just randomly 2002 at the rate gmail.com. This is just a random email ID that I picked up, and the display name is Alok Kumar, and you have to give some information like hi, welcome to my team as a guest user. Maybe Alok is a contractor within my organization. I want him to have access, or I want to give him some permissions and elevate his permissions so that he can manage my resources temporarily, and once the work is done I will remove his identity. So for that, I am sending an invitation. You can keep someone in CC if you want. This is the redirect URL. Now you can add the same properties like we were doing it for the Neha. user. You can add first name, job information, contact information, other settings, and can add an assignment as well and click on review and invite. Now you can see the user type is mentioned as guest. That means this is a guest user that is being added into my account, and the moment I add it as a guest, an invitation will be sent. I hope that's not a existing email ID, because they will obviously get a mail. So now, when I have sent such mail, you can see if I refresh this page, now I have 11 users, including Alok Kumar. So, Alok Kumar, here you can see this user who has been sent a Gmail invitation. That particular person, if he or she accepts my Gmail invitation, they will be part of my user account. You can revoke the session of that user, you can reset the password for the user, you can delete the user. So currently, if you delete this user like I am doing, you can just refresh this page, and in the deleted user section you can find that the deleted user exists here. So this deleted user will persist here for a 30 days duration, and it is saying permanent deletion date is 27th of May. So what I will do, I will permanently delete this user. That means this user will no longer be part of my user account. So now I have just 10 users. So for all the users that you have, you can check your audit logs. In the audit logs, all the activities that has been performed, like adding a user, deleting a user, updating the passwords, and all the sign in activities from the location that they have tried to sign in, and activities during the sign in, interactive and non interactive both, are being captured here, along with the IP address, the sign in error, whether it is successful or not, the application used, the user, the request ID, and the date. So you can drill down into audit logs and sign in logs for all the users and track each of the user activity within your account. You can also go for a password reset option, which is a premium feature. If you go for premium licenses, you can reset the password. You can give the permission to the user to reset their own password again and again if they forgot the password. So we'll be exploring this in a bit. So this is how we create user accounts within the Azure portal. If you like this video, please share, subscribe, and keep commenting on this particular video so that I can understand whether you are getting the concepts clear. So keep your engagement up to my videos, and we will complete AZ-104 very soon.